first-hand accounts of Christian persecution in the Middle East. They've witnessed the unimaginable and lost almost everything. Can Roma Downey's new film awaken the church to action? This story and more on today's 700 Club Interactive. Well, welcome to the show. Christian persecution, it's a subject we cover a lot at CBN News, and Hollywood is starting to take notice. Producer Roma Downey wants American Christians to know what is happening to their brothers and sisters in the Middle East. Her new film, Faith Keepers, documents a dozen first-hand accounts of how Christians are being brutally killed, tortured, and imprisoned for their faith in the birthplace of Christianity. Take a look.
The current status of Christians and other non-Muslim minorities throughout the Middle East is the worst it's been in centuries.
21 people were killed when a powerful bomb exploded in front of a Coptic Christian church.
Muslim mobs began attacking Christian churches.
They are targeting churches, temples, cultural and historical sites.
سوريا وأنا لك بخاز شو سوريا جو العراق قتل خلي
يعني بغضوني بالقوة واغتصبوني وتقريبا 4 أيام 5 أيام رجعت للبيت. هو كان بسيارته راجع من شغله، لزموا ايده ورجله ورايدوا يقطعوا راسه.
I converted from Islam to Christianity. I was arrested, and after that they gave me a death penalty. What I told the judge in this day, if loving and worshiping Christ is a crime, I am guilty as charged.
The Christians of Iraq and Syria who fled ISIS narrowly escaped a genocidal campaign of mass murder, of crucifixions, and of beheadings.
Now we are here in Kawa Center for youth. We have here 186 caravan, 260 families here.
What is taking place in the Middle East, particularly in Iraq, is genocide.
They call this ethnic cleansing. This is the real word.
The administration is failing, the Congress is failing, and quite frankly, with all due respect, the church is failing.
In response to persecution, I always want to tell people to pray. Stop, pray. Be burdened for your brother and sister, but get involved in the fight and help.
And doesn't matter how small is your voice. You can make a difference, even if you are just one person.
Just got back from a conference in Washington, D.C. on the persecuted church. And the number one thing coming out of that conference from those who are undergoing the persecution, horrific things happening in the Middle East, is a cry, please wake up. Please wake up. Church in America, please wake up to our plight, what is currently going on, and how we can get involved. So I encourage you, if you want to get involved, host a free screening of Faith Keepers at your church. To do so, all you have to do is go to faithkeepers.clarionproject.org, and you can find out all the information you need to host a screening. And do so, and then beyond the screening, once you've gotten aware of how deep and how serious this horrible genocide is, then we need to take action. We need to take action as a church and do what we can to aid those who are suffering under this kind of persecution, and we need to take action as a nation. And while we're on this subject of Christian persecution, the Christian governor of Jakarta, Indonesia, is being jailed for his faith. Last week, an Indonesian court sentenced Governor Basuki Ahok-Purnama to 2 years in prison for supposedly blaspheming the Quran. And here's the facts of what happened. During his campaign, he said people were wrong if they believed a specific verse in the Quran forbids Muslims from voting for non-Muslim. And that, just making that statement, was deemed to be blasphemy. And he ended up 2 years in jail. And on top of all of that, he lost the election. So anyone that wants to tell me Islam is some kind of religion of peace, that somehow you can have a democracy under it, that they just don't recognize freedom of speech. They don't recognize freedom of religion. He is going to jail for 2 years. Now, the case is on appeal. We'll see what the Supreme Court of Indonesia has to say about this one, but I thought that they wouldn't put him in jail, but here they are. And let's recognize what it means to be under Sharia law and what it means as Christians. How do we stand with our brothers and sisters in the faith in the middle of this kind of persecution? Well, at a conference on Jerusalem that took place in Istanbul, Turkish President Erdogan urged more Muslims to visit the Temple Mount. He said about 600,000 Americans, 400,000 Russians, 300,000 French citizens visited Jerusalem in 2015, and only 26,000 Turks. Erdogan believes hundreds of thousands of Muslims should be making the trip. He also slammed Israel's policy towards the Palestinians in the West Bank, calling it racist, discriminatory, and reminiscent of apartheid in South Africa. Well, in response, Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat invited the Turkish president to visit the city. Barkat said it is surprising that Erdogan, who leads a state that occupied Jerusalem for 400 years, wants to preach to us about how to manage our city. As we celebrate 50 years of reunited Jerusalem, I invite him to visit our city and to be amazed by the reality on the ground, a reality that has changed only for the better since the Turks ruled here. And what's going on here is Erdogan wants to reestablish the Ottoman Empire. Just look at this word Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. The catastrophe, how it first came into usage was there was a Nakba year. It was 1920, and that's when the great powers decided to divide the Levant into Iraq and Syria and Jordan and Lebanon, and then finally Israel. All of those divisions happened in 1920. Then Nakba became the Israeli Independence Day in 1948. Erdogan wants to erase all of that. He wants to say the Ottoman Empire needs to be reestablished, and he's calling for more Muslim pilgrims to the Temple Mount. There's a reason there's such a low percentage of Muslim pilgrims, and that is there's no real historical tie from Jerusalem to the Islamic faith. It wasn't until 1300 AD that they started recognizing one of the mosques on the Temple Mount as the place where supposedly Muhammad went. So we need to know the accurate history. And there's a way to know the accurate history of Jerusalem and how Jerusalem became unified. I encourage you to go to our movie. CBN's releasing a movie, In Our Hands, The Battle for Jerusalem. And all you have to do is go to our website, inourhands1967.com. Type in your zip code. You can find a theater near you. We're up to over 740 theaters nationwide. And if you want to understand today's headlines, what it really means in the Palestinian Authority, why Jerusalem is such a topic of conversation at the UN, you need to know this history. And in an hour and 41 minutes, we'll give you the accurate history of what happened during the Six-Day War, how Israel won a battle against all odds and defeated 4 different Arab armies, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt, and in that stunning victory, reunited Jerusalem. For the first time since Titus in AD 70, Jerusalem is under Jewish control. It's no longer trodden under the foot of the Gentiles. It's a fulfillment of prophecy. You can see this wonderful story on May 23. So go to the website, inourhands1967.com. Well, still ahead, a Jewish businessman takes a journey inside the book of Psalms and reveals how its words can help us communicate with God. Stay with us. Our next guest says for centuries, people have used the book of Psalms to speak to God, and he believes you can too. Take a look.
When businessman Reuben Abramoff began speaking in his synagogue about biblical prophets, he realized many people knew little or nothing about them. Audiences loved his insight, so he committed to share his interpretations with over 100 synagogues around the world. Now Reuben's YouTube videos reach thousands weekly. In his book, From Your Lips to God's Ears, Reuben offers his 10-step guide to understanding the Psalms for Jewish and non-Jewish homes.
Oh, Reuben joins us now. Welcome to the show. It's great having you. I was introduced to you, and it's the most unusual introduction I've ever had, where you were introduced to me as the world's foremost expert on the Psalms. It took you 10 years to do this book, From Your Lips to God's Ears. Why so long?
The simple truth is that I'm a businessman during the day, and this is my hobby that took on great significance in my life and other people's lives. And I researched for 10 years. I took my time, but we have a wonderful, wonderful book to show everyone that they can access information in an easy way now.
Well, I have been reading the Psalms my whole life, but not seriously until I got Spurgeon's Treasury of David, which was 20 years ago, and it really unlocked a lot of things. Then I've got Art Scroll's version, 2 volumes of the Psalms. I got that about 10 years ago, I think it was, that came out. And that unlocked for me the use of the Psalms in the seasons of the year. And then your book comes along, and what I thought was impossible, that we would never know the instruments and the meanings of specific, that it was lost in the centuries. And you've unlocked that. So congratulations. It's a wonderful, wonderful book.
Thank you very much. And to the point about my being an authority on the subject, I grew into that. When that statement was made, since then, I've learned a lot more, and I speak and teach. So it's wonderful. And I'll be able to tell you that growing up, I'm a very visual person, and that looking at Art Scroll and Mo Winkle and other people, Gunkel, that it's textual work. And today, we can benefit from visuals, and we can look at biblical antiquities. We could look at replicas of the musical instruments. So what I did is I took something from being flat to the eye to now being something where people could visualize the temple service with the Levites singing and playing musical instruments.
Right, and you give pictures in the book so that as you read the psalm, you get the instruments that need to go along with it. You give the history of that, and then the archaeology of it to back it all up, that this is real. And again, what I thought was going to be forever hidden has now been revealed, and it's wonderful to see. Congratulations. Tell us about the, because I think particularly Christians don't understand the cycle of the Psalms and how the Psalms are both used in the festivals and then the various seasons of life.
Well, just to start off, you have one of the Psalms is the song Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, song and music that was played on the Sabbath, and that it itemizes the musical instruments, the harp and the lyre, with dancing and celebration. So when you read it now, you begin to feel the excitement that people would have, not just sitting, but standing and singing and listening to music. So that was transformative as far as their connectivity to God. So that is something that I tried to bring to people in the book, that it has easily accessible information. If I may, there are 10 introductions, and one was the conductor, and that I identify who he was. Then it goes into whether it was sung, and it could be a cappella or a choir, or musical instruments within quartet or a full orchestra. Then there's many obscure phrases that they have in that introductory line, and I went out of my way to give explanations of those obscure phrases that you have in the book of Psalms, so that somebody that would take the time to look at one chapter at a time will begin to comprehend the historical setting, the people that were involved, and how they worshiped, and what that led them to feel is a connection to God. It wasn't about what they did, it was about how they felt.
I love that. I love that. It's not an academic exercise. It's designed to enable you to join in with the worship, and the worship of King David. Give us an example. I'll pick one of the words that I think scholars have debated about for centuries. Selah.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, first of all, in researching 60 books, Gordon, no one commentator, whether it be the rabbinical commentators or today's commentators, agree on some things. But to your point about Selah, there are two major opinions of what Selah was. And if you see, oftentimes it appears at the end of the chapter. So one of the explanations is that it was a musical instruction, and that the Levitical orchestra, when they had the word Selah, it would go like this: Amen, Selah, stop. Or it was also understood that God was the Selah, was the rock. And like King David would say, God is my shield, God is my rock. That was his faithfulness, connecting to God, that strength, and that he would relate to God in that way. So you have two different opinions. If I had to pick one, I would pick that it was part of a musical instruction to remind us that what the word Psalms meant is songs that were accompanied by music.
So I've heard an explanation that's also a musical pause, that it's a key for the orchestra to play while the individual singer meditates on the previous verse and allows that verse to penetrate deep into their soul.
Beautiful. I am aware that the conductor would have the cymbals and he would clang them together at the beginning, that would set the tone in what key that they would sing. So to dovetail what you just said, this fortifies and deepens my understanding by what you just taught me.
Okay. Well, I encourage you to get the book. It's From Your Lips to God's Ears. And if you want a deeper appreciation of Psalms and understand these are the prayers of the Jewish people, these are the prayers of King David. And when you start praying along with their prayers, it'll inform your prayer life. It's available exclusively at Reuben's website, FromYourLipsToGod'sEars.com. I encourage you to get it, and it will change your prayer life. We'll be back with more of 700 Club Interactive right after this. In our nation's capital, a church built back in the 1800s has become an eyesore. For years, it sat vacant, abandoned, and forgotten. Now that church has been transformed into a work of art. CBN's Ben Kennedy brings us the story.
It's one building that's hard to miss.
You can see it from, 395 from the highway. I mean, that highway sees 175,000 cars a day.
Odds are that drive-by audience will lead to a new attention for this former church's new life as a true work of art. A hidden gem in the heart of Washington, D.C.
The ability to revive that and still keep the same themes of a church, which is, really a community center.
Built in 1886, Friendship Baptist Church outgrew the chapel, put up the property for sale, and moved to a new building just down the street. For years, it remained vacant. That is, until 2012. When an idea blossomed.
These are cherry blossoms, right? These are cherry blossoms, and we are inside.
Allowing it to transform into a space for the arts and culture community. Right now, we're on the balcony of what used to be a church, and to put things into perspective, take a look. This is where the congregation used to sit. Imagine some rows of pews, the pastor up front. It's now a very large space for activities. Even the piano has been fine-tuned into modern art. We caught up with Atlanta-based artist Alex Brewer, who spent nearly a month just painting the outside of 700 Delaware Avenue Southwest. Was it a challenge to paint something this large, a church?
Yeah, because it was a three-dimensional piece of architecture, I wanted to kind of give it a sculptural feel by wrapping the entire thing and by continuing the patterns and the colors.
There isn't an area that wasn't touched with paint or some type of creative content or character. And that's, again, that's something that no other space can really offer.
And that creativity attracts tourists inside to take a closer look.
You're just visiting, or? Oh yeah, okay, well get your walk on. All right, please.
For 131 years, people have been walking inside this church to pray, worship, and now can still appreciate creation.
To be able to share that story of not just what we've done, but what the church congregation before us has done.
Ben Kennedy, CBN News, Washington.
That's an unusual way to take care of a wonderful landmark. Well, clean water, most of us take it for granted, but in many parts of the world, people are forced to drink contaminated water or die. Achia was one of those people, a widow who became so sick drinking dirty water that she couldn't even care for her young sons.
Every morning, Achia walked under a huge fig tree just outside her house on her way to fetch water.
After my husband died, I was left to care for my boys by myself. They are still too young to carry water or help me with any chores. So each day is a struggle. I do everything alone.
When I met Achia, she told me about how hard she works taking care of her family. From chopping and carrying wood to harvesting grass to make thatch roofs or sell on the market, she works tirelessly day in and day out. But she still made time to start a garden to help feed her children.
I bought seeds, believing that the rain would come. I love gardening, but the sun burned my crops.
In times of drought, shallow wells like these dry up or get contaminated by livestock. Many people get sick with diseases like typhoid and cholera from contaminated water. Achia was one of them.
The pain starts in my spine, then moves from my neck to my head. Sometimes I have to lie down for days, waiting for the pain to go away. But when I see my children hungry and thirsty, I force myself to get up.
But on one occasion, Achia couldn't get up.
I needed to cook for the children, but I was too weak to fetch water so far away. We all went to bed hungry and thirsty.
Then, Innovation Africa, an Israeli ministry supported by CBN, arrived with trucks and started drilling. Soon, they hit crystal clear water, and a tap was installed right outside Achia's house.
I couldn't believe the tap was right there. I feel like jumping up and praising God. I'll never have to walk long distances for water again.
The well is too deep to pump water by hand, so solar panels were installed to run an electrical pump. The well is so deep, it should never run dry, even in the worst drought. And it should never get contaminated.
I no longer worry that we will get sick from drinking bad water. Those diseases cannot attack us anymore. My boys can finally enjoy safe, clean water right by our house. We can be clean and even wash.
Achia immediately started feeling much better, and with the water so close by, her garden blossomed.
I forgot about the loss of my burned crops and tried again. With water this close, we can do anything. We no longer have to buy vegetables. We grow them ourselves. God sent you to answer our prayers. You rescued us. Thank you, CBN. May God bless you all.
You rescued us. Thank you. May God bless you all. If you're a member of the 700 Club, thank you. You're part of that, and you're part of that blessing from that wonderful woman. Just imagine not having fresh drinking water. We take it for granted in America. We just go to the tap and turn a handle, and we have fresh drinking water. We know that water will not hurt us. It's going to be clean, and it's going to give us life. And imagine being in a situation where you don't have that. But the good news is that you and I can do something about it. We can join together, find those places around the earth where people don't have access to fresh water, go to them and say, how can we help? How can we provide fresh drinking water for you in a way that'll bless you, it'll bless the whole village, it'll bless generations. If you want to be a part of it, all you have to do is join the 700 Club. How do you do that? You call a number, 1-800-700-7000, say, yes, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of everything you're doing around the world. When you call and join, I want you to have this. It's called Miracles, wonderful stories of how God is still working miracles today. It's yours when you join. Here's a word from Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth.